I was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts. It was then and still is somewhat of a poor city. My high school counselor told me there was no future in science or engineering. Not knowing any better, I went off to Cornell, spent a year and a half in the hotel school, and realized that there was a future in science and engineering, and that was more my interest. And so at that point, I switched over. Joan and I met on a somewhat blind date, a party at my fraternity house. We were both sophomores and pretty much dated throughout her time there. We did get married and were married for 2 years while I was at Cornell, and then another 3 years getting my PhD at MIT. We moved to San Diego in 1966 to teach at University of California, San Diego. Taught there for 6 years, but actually started another company called Linkabit, and that company grew very rapidly. And we then merged it with a company in Boston called Maycom. 6 other Linkabit employees came to me after I decided to leave Linkabit and said, why don't we start another company? About October of '85, when we had started Qualcomm, one of the reasons that I was interested in industry was that I'd been telling my students for years that all this theory we're teaching really could be useful in the real world, so this was a way to really demonstrate that that was correct. So a way to, in some sense, motivate students in the future to be considering engineering as a very exciting area. We became involved over the years with a variety of other, both cultural organizations that help people in need of various kinds. And so it just kind of built up. We kept the educational activities going as well. And so that's how I first became involved with USD. There were other aspects of how to do more with the phones and then with computers, where every student could perhaps be able to take the computer home. And what would be the appropriate curriculum? How do you train the teachers? How do you train the teachers to train other teachers, and so on? When we started working at USD, Paula Carrera was very, very helpful. She was dean of the school at the time. And so that allowed things to actually move ahead much more rapidly and bring some students, get them involved, and get some excitement going. And of course now has really grown quite a bit. Well, I must say there are a whole number of activities, all of which I'm proud of. And of course, it's some of these challenges to students around the world to come up with some innovative ideas, be able to show that that idea makes sense, be able to describe it, perhaps even build some, and then compete for the prize. So I think that has been growing quite rapidly, and so that's very exciting. And I've been impressed with the fact that USD seems very open, first to supporting a large number of students with various types of needs. Secondly, having leadership in education, an important component, but also that it has grown. It looks at issues of justice, that it looks at issues of how do we best live together. And so as I've learned more and more about the school, I've become more and more impressed. And so it's very easy to make a decision to go ahead and work with USD. But I would hope my own contribution would be that we have worked with many different organizations philanthropically, but also individually giving our time and helping those organizations. And I would hope that that also is something that people see and decide that looks like a good path to follow.